Take a deep,
Sorry, Gloria. Yes.
okay, take a deep breath and bring yourself to your heart as much as possible and relax into the knowing of who you are, that we are all that I am of the great creator. And we ask that Jesus and all the spirits join with us whenever possible, lift us up, and help us to understand what is being taught, and that it all go to our benefit and that of the Creator and all of our brothers and sisters all over the world and the universe. We are very grateful for this opportunity. We welcome anyone who wishes to join us today with goodness in their heart. And we step forward in faith, knowing that you will provide what it is that we need to know. Thank you, God. Amen, and so it is.
Oh, I was talking to myself. Thank you, Gloria. And so it is. Um, come on, computer. I will not play the video. I was planning to play the video and the song, but
22-year-old Marilyn
sorry.
Monroe was once fired
I have to
from
stop
Columbia
this. I was planning to play the song, but my dog was crazy over here. You guys could hear. But anyway, I just wanted to share this food for thoughts, and I tried to find the picture that Giles posted on our group. I was not able to find that one, Giles, but I put this one. It's showing, you know, the Milky Way and Andromeda eventually. These two will collide, right? So, and it's so beautiful. When I was in Jordan, in the middle of the desert, and we spent a night in the desert. If you remove this galaxy out of the picture, that's exactly how you see the sky that you see at night in the middle of the desert. You can see this dust, cosmic dust, I don't know, and all gazillions of stars, and you know, everywhere is pretty. But anyway, I thought about taking a moment to revisit this picture and showing something that actually I thought it was very neat. It is a simulation. Evidently, it is based on models, calculations, that they have some level of uncertainties. But based on observations, those models on how those galaxies, how they move. So they put the calculation together, and then they get this like they try to emulate the movement of the galaxies, and then they come up with this. You know, it is, if you, it's gonna show you how Andromeda galaxy is moving and the Milky Way is moving. And over here, there's a timeline showing when those events is about to happen. Evidently, between 0 and, I don't know, 10%, 20% of error, you name it, or you pick your the level of uncertainties. But you know, just scientists playing a little bit with their model and trying to predict what the future will hold for our galaxy. And here it is, the video. You see This is the Milky Way within 0.67 billion years in the future. So here we are moving and traveling across the universe. And this is Andromeda. This is another small galaxy, M33. So because of the way that Andromeda is moving like in a spiral movement, eventually it will pass very close to the Milky Way. And it will interfere once, but then this other one is coming to play and forcing this one to get back and mix. But then it's gonna be like 5 billion years in the future. And then we have this giant, colossal galaxy, which is actually the combination of Andromeda and Milky Way. And that's how it is. But I thought it, well, it's just a model just to say what to expect in the future for our galaxy. But the thing is, I thought it was neat because, you know, when we check on the Allan Kardec book, oh, no, it's not showing. I said, well, just a sec, let me stop sharing. Let's stop here. And slideshow. Bring this to front. Just a sec. Come on, computer. Bring this to front. This to front. And let me check this. Let me do this and this. So, okay. So now, yeah, now I have what I wanted. So, back to sharing. Back to sharing. Am I sharing anything? No, not yet. It's not showing what I want still. Why? It doesn't show the way that I want. Stop sharing. Okay, I'm hard-minded.
While you're doing that, I was just thinking that we'll be seeing that happen someday as eternal beings. We'll be seeing that from a different perspective. And I'm hoping that we'll remember that we saw it first in an animation that Anna presented in June
You wish
2024.
you wish we would be that. Yeah,
Gloria,
but I like the way you think, Gloria. I really like, you know, the positivism.
Yeah, we'll be out there watching it happen and go, I remember when Anna showed us that animation.
but Gloria, I have the exact opposite, and I put in the chat. Billions of years is incomprehensible to me, and I don't care.
Yeah. But the thing is, the point is, whether it's gonna happen or not, something is gonna happen in the universe in a billions of years from now.
So why should I worry?
Well, you don't have to, but the way that the point here is, you know, 200 years ago, when Allan Kardec was asking the question, can a completely foreign world disappear and have its matter then be redistributed throughout the space? And the answer was yes, God renews worlds, galaxies, just as living beings are renewed. So, you know, and that's exactly what science is discovering today, right? That it is, nothing is lost in the creation. Nothing is lost. Every single molecule, every single atom is then recreated, reused. Nothing is wasted. So more and more we are discovering that the creation is actually not done, is a constant movement, is a work in progress, right? Yeah, Hyacinth, please.
Yes, NASA is finding new universes all the time.
Mhm.
So the creation hasn't stopped and never will. So I'm just taking it as it comes, and I see where I turn up next time around. And I'll just carry on from there.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
used to think as a small child, and I could not comprehend eternity, living forever. That you just go on and on and on. And I thought, with so many stars, I will go live on a star when I finish the life. I'll just go to another star. And there's so many that there's no end. So that for me was eternal life, living on a new star.
You see, yeah, I love it. Yes, I love the thought. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Leda, please.
Let's see if you can hear me. So noisy here.
Yes.
But it's very interesting to think that I agree, totally agree with Tyson, because it's a long time if you think in eternity. But if you think in cycles and in small pieces, and knowing that you're going like stairs, right? And you go up little by little, and that's what we need, this shock, this biological shock. When we're born, when we die, we need to have this very strong landmarks so that
Yes.
we can learn and understand better. So we go from landmark to landmark, and when we see we have evolved and we have been for thousands of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And this thought, Leda, is from a calculus standpoint, is what we call differential. And it is when you stratify, you take a long piece, if you will, and then you just, instead of approaching the whole thing, you go little by little, and then you start building up this model, mathematical model. So, and based on those landmarks. So it is very nice to know, because at the end of the day, if you think about, we are not really a little child. We are not like, we are not that young as a spirit as we think, right? Because if you think about, from the moment of creation, like a spark of the divine light, right? And then if we think that we transitioned through the mineral kingdom, and then the vegetable, how we call the plants, you know, one day we were a plant, like a plant, and one day we were like a irrational animal. And now here we are, you know, many reincarnations we have lived as human beings, because, you know, we have the intelligence that we do, we have the comprehension that we do. So this is not our first incarnation as human, we know for sure. So thousands of years, if not millions of years, have passed, right? So we are not as young from the moment of our creation until now. We have been through a long, long journey. And there is still billions of years ahead of us. Just hang on. Hang in there. We'll get at some point. But I love the idea that the creation, it is a work in progress. Nothing is stagnant. And you know, that only tells me I don't have to worry about, like Hyacinth said, you know, I don't have to worry about what's going to happen in the billions of years from now, because, you know, it's changing, it's moving all the time. And tomorrow, it will be whatever we do today based on our decisions, based on our actions, right? So it's up to us at some point, I guess. Okay, so going back to this. And am I sharing the right one? What you guys can see is the, can you see the slides or no?
We're still looking at that quote from the lesson from Kardec.
Okay, okay. Okay, so yeah, so moving first, book one, first causes. We are still here in the creation. The next chapter will be the vital principle. And then once we do that, it's gonna be the end of book number 1. But just skipping here. Last time, so did anybody say anything? No. Last time we stopped right here, creation of living beings. And as you can see, I'm not taking a long time. I just passing through those questions just because, you know, to say that, okay, we saw it. But in reality, to me personally, the most important chapter of this book is really the chapter number 3, the book number 3, because it is about the moral values, the moral evolution, moral transformation that we need to do. Everything else, as far as the creation, that's the book number 1. It is something nice to see what the spirits answered to Kardec, but to me personally, I'm still trying to understand who am I and what I'm doing here. So understanding the creation of the universe perhaps is beyond my intelligence, and you know, it's just it's nice to see and kind of read what the answers are, but it's not my focus. Anyway, so last time we were here, where were the organic elements before the formation of the earth? And the answer was they existed in the fluid state in space with the spirits, or on other planets, awaiting the creation of earth to begin a new life in a new world. So again, work in progress. Nothing is really created. I mean, yeah, there is creation, but there is no waste in the creation. It's a constant cycle. Gloria, please.
I attend Science of Mind services here, and our leader, Reverend Larry Marie, she was giving a lesson where she said that she wanted us to visualize leaving Earth, and she said, and then there's nothing. And I was listening to it and I'm going, wait a minute, that's in complete contradiction to her other lesson where she says there is no spot where God is not. So you can't say that if you leave the Earth there's nothing. And so this cosmic fluid is such a what do I want to say, useful thing to know for me, because in learning about that, I'm learning that's how there is no spot where the creator is not. It's through this, everything being connected with the cosmic fluid. So I'm excited about this lesson, even if you aren't.
Oh, I am, because it tells me how the things works, but it doesn't tell me, it doesn't tell us exactly precisely how the creation happens, because I don't think we do have the level to understand everything in details, right? And I'm glad that you mentioned what you said, because you thought, your train of thoughts, the methodology you used to think, it is exactly how Kardec was doing, you know, cross-checking, you know, constantly cross-checking and checking with other information that you have and trying to find consistency between, you know, that message that you're hearing and the, you know, other information that you got. As a
Well,
matter of
that's why
fact,
this is so exciting to me, is because that concept of there is no spot where God is not, and then you hear people talking about the nothingness of space, and I was going, now, wait a minute, that doesn't. In other words, it wasn't. I wasn't getting. It was disconnecting. It was not ringing true. And then as soon as this concept of cosmic fluid was introduced, then everything makes more sense. It's
Yeah.
much more. It feels like the truth to me.
it fills that spots, and the thing is, it fills the gap, right? So the remember, one of the answers to Kardec is when he was asking exactly, is there anywhere in this whole universe that is, you know, nothing? We will find vacuum. And they say, no, there is not a single spot in the universe that is not populated with something. So to me, that's why I like the idea of diving in the ocean, and then all around you, there is water, right? It is exactly how we are in this cosmic fluid, universal cosmic fluid. It is this giant ocean that they call
Anna,
cosmic.
you
Yes.
don't have to speculate about that. You don't have to guess. Latest quantum physics shows quite clearly that a vacuum is not empty,
Yep.
that positrons and electrons are appearing and disappearing within it. Quarks and antiquarks are appearing and disappearing within it continuously, in their millions, in every little space the size of my fist, continuously in their millions. Appearing and disappearing. So there's no speculation required. Empty space is not empty.
It's not empty, and even more, even though you cannot see it, even though sometimes temporarily is not there, but is still influencing our physical, our dimension. So amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah. Okay. So, and then there was this comment from Kardec saying, you know, chemistry shows us the molecules of inorganic bodies merging to produce invariable crystals for each species. Once the conditions are ripe for their combination, the slightest disturbance of those conditions can block the union of material elements, or at least prevent the methodical arrangement of the latter, which constitutes the crystal. Is there a reason why the same process cannot take place among organic elements? We preserve the seeds of plants and animals for years, which are then only born at a certain temperature and under certain conditions. Wheat seeds have been known to sprout after centuries. This demonstrates that there is a dormant principle of vitality in seeds which awaits favorable circumstances to develop. And it continues, it is not possible then that which takes place right before our eyes every day also has taken place at the birth of our planet. Thus, this creation of living beings by the forces of nature amidst chaos detract in any way from the awe-inspiring power and glory of God? Quite the opposite, in fact. The interpretation of creation presented by us is more consistent than any other with our sense of God exerting power over all the worlds of infinity through eternal laws. This theory does not resolve the origin of vital elements But God has mysteries and has put limits in our investigation. This is the thing that I don't agree with Kardec. I don't think God is putting any limits in our investigation. It's just the way that we are right now. We do not have means to understand yet. Leda, please.
God, but at the time that it's, there are so many things that we don't understand even today. We can understand that there is some creation, like there is this, I don't know how to say it in English, cell constructions that they have together. You know what? Five and this is very complex creation. It's like or the fail the work works like an engine boat, you know. So it's just made by chance or that all the there's many wars all down there's a written book and so this very complex organic structures in nature they tell us that there has to be a creator. And that's what they are saying this because if you think about it,
Leda,
The sound is very bad.
yeah, your sound is very bad. We can barely hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you put in the writing on the chat, perhaps. Yeah, thank you. So, all right. So the next one then is, are any living beings born spontaneously? I will go fast with this one because evidently the answer is yes. But the original seeds already existed in a dormant state. You witness this phenomenon on a daily basis. For instance, the tissues of the human body and animals contain the germs of many parasites waiting for the fermentation needed for their life. It is a small world of microscopic beings that is dormant, waiting to be created. So I like this answer because it is like, again, no waste. There is always something waiting for the right opportunity, the right conditions to sprout, to start a new world, a new start, right? To thrive. Let's see. Was the human species, this is nice, was the human species among the organic elements contained in the earth? What do we think? Was the human species among the organic elements contained in the earth? So in another ways, he's asking if the seeds for the human beings, if there was already there, you know, somehow within the materials that, you know, formed our planet. So the answer was yes. Again, there's no waste, and we're constantly reusing, recycling material from the universe. Yes, and it arrived at the opportune moment. The saying that human beings were formed out of the dust of earth is very much true. Actually, dust of stars, right? That's how it is.
I don't know. That's a little confusing.
What? Remember, this is not talking. Perhaps you think it's confusing because there are two ways to see this. One is creation of us as spiritual beings, and this is not talking about that. And the other one is creation of the human beings as in the physical bodies. So that's what this answer meant, is about formation of our physical body. And it's saying that yes, we had this planet had all the elements for the creation of us. And the next one, can we determine the time of the appearance of humans and other living beings on Earth? This is an interesting answer, because you have to look at it as a metaphor, as an allegory, because the answer, can we determine the time of the appearance of humans and other living beings on Earth? The answer is no. All your calculations are illusions. We try our best to estimate, but we will never be precise. That's what they are saying. You know, the scientists they can get close, but it's never going to be precise. And
Yeah,
the
well,
thought,
but that's what I mean. How can scientists, I mean, what method are they using they can't be precise. I mean, 6 billion years, how can they know it's 6 billion years?
that's what I'm saying. This is this is the answer of the calculation. You know, this is just
Illusions, yes.
yeah. But the other thing is, we do not know exactly all the forces that will interfere in those models. So whatever model we'll put together today, there will always be something that we will miss. And that little piece might be very important in the answer of those calculations. So we do not know. Right now, we only know how the mechanics, how the physics works in this planet, but you know, we do not know exactly how the laws of physics, etc., will work in the vacuum or in distant galaxy, and etc.,
Exactly.
So we can only, you know,
exactly. We know how it works here.
Yeah. But yeah. That's why they're saying this illusion is kind of not accurate. Gloria,
I mean,
please.
they can carbon date. I mean, they can carbon date to go back 6 billion years. They may do 100,000 or 500, but there is no way.
The carbon date, I would say is something that we can do it with a little bit more confidence, because
Yes.
it's all based on, you know, our chemistry, our physics,
Exactly.
and all this the forces interfering in our planet.
The universes are different. They're not all the same.
Yeah. Yes, Claudia, please.
I like, again, I'm resonating with this, that the raw materials for our physical bodies were here.
Yeah.
And that we don't know when the creation of our spiritual body joined with our physical body occurred. We can't calculate that. There's no that can't even be carbon dated. You know,
No.
it's an illusion. If we even try, we can go, oh well, when people started to talk, or when people started to write, or no, we can carbon date the physical structure, which came from the raw materials, but not the spirit. That's no. I appreciate that distinction that you made between the two. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very hard for us to say right now, right? So maybe one day, but for now it's kind of hard. Still on the creation of living beings. Hey, Carol. If the seeds of the human species were among the organic elements, see, they are always talking about the physical body. So we're among the organic elements of the earth. Why is it that human beings are not produced spontaneously today as they originally were? Right? So it's a valid question. And the answer, the principle of things is one of God's secrets. It's exactly what you said, Gloria. We will never precise when that's divine sparkle connected with the organic element to create the new being, right? So it said the principle of things is one of God's secrets, because it has happened, this happened billions of years ago. We will never precise that. And, you know, so nevertheless, it may be asserted that the first humans absorbed the elements necessary, and this is important. The first humans absorbed the elements necessary for their creation to transfer said elements according to the laws of reproduction. The same may be said in regard to all the different species of living beings. And remember then, when we were studying the mechanics of mediumship, we said that we absorb the elements that exist in this environment, in this, let's say, solar system. We absorb those elements that it is exactly proportional to the level of our development. So the body, my perispirit will be formed out of elements that my spirit was capable of attracting to help me to carry out with my mission here on earth, to help me to carry out with all the lessons that I need to learn over here. So that's why we say that, you know, even though a nice, a very, I don't know, you name it, Buddha, Jesus, a great prophet, you know, was born here, lived here, and a person like Hitler was born here, lived here. They are human beings, but they didn't attract the same elements, because they have, you know, those elements that we will attract, it will be according to the level of evolution of that spirit. Hyacinth, please.
Yes, but if you listen to some people who will say that you volunteer to do things.
Yes.
And so it's not a question then of attracting, it's not, it's a purpose. Because, you know, they say that Hitler volunteered because it was a nasty thing to do. and he volunteered to do it. And Judas did also volunteered, and people volunteer to come back to do specific things.
Yeah, that is different. Then we are talking about a mission, right? Missionaries. So as a missionary, did Jesus have to be here as a man? No, he didn't, but he decided to, right? So he wanted to.
No, not as I understand, because I understand that it had to be to experience a human life. He had to be born a human. That's why he had to go through a woman.
What I'm saying is, we had prophets, we had, you know, all kind of
Exactly.
elements.
All kinds of things. Yes.
Yeah, but he decided to be born here and be like a human among us to carry out the mission that he had to do.
Right.
So did he had to do it? No, he planned to do it. So it's different. But as a higher being, evidently his perispirit, his body had the elements, let's say the purest elements that this earth, this system can offer for higher beings like him, to form a higher being like him. What else? Okay, yeah, that's law of progress, because it goes exactly like in alignment with the law of progress. Now we are we are talking about populating the earth. Questions on Adam. Did the human race begin with one man only? Evidently, no.
Exactly.
But
Categorically,
yeah,
no.
no, and capital letters. But that is interesting, the answer. No, the man known as Adam was neither the first, not the only man who populated the earth.
Exactly.
This is nice, because this is telling us that the earth population actually came from several different locations. It was a migration from other orbs. So, and then the following question, is it possible to determine when Adam lived? See that Kardec is not satisfied with the first question, then he's still insisting. He said, is it possible to determine when Adam lived? And again, another interesting answer, because it's saying Adam lived approximately around the time that you attribute to him. You, historically, you, human beings, you attribute to Adam, it was about 4,000 years before Christ. But here, that's what I say, sometimes you have to read it as a metaphor, because what it is saying is not that there was not a human beings before, but now they are talking about the man living as a spiritual being, you know, in that level of maturity when the man is ready to infer the idea of a single God, because until then, everybody was had a belief in several gods. Whatever in nature was a god, right? The storm, the rain, whatever in nature was a god. The volcanoes was a god. So, but in this case, it's talking about Adam as perhaps the first population with a certain level of spiritual maturity receptive enough to accept the idea of a single God. And then there is this comment on the question number 51. Do I have a volunteer, Gloria?
Sure. The man that we refer to as Adam was one of the people who survived one of the great disasters that changed the Earth's surface over the course of history. He became the foundation of one of the races that populate our planet today. The laws of nature dictate that it would be impossible for the amount of progress that we know to have been accomplished by humanity long before Christ to have been accomplished so quickly if it had only existed since the time of Adam. Some have dubbed the story of Adam a myth or allegory, personifying the earliest ages of the world, a belief that currently stands as the most reasonable.
Yeah. So, any comments or? I think it's.
Yes, because I mean, the story of Adam and Eve is how the Jews explained their story.
Yes.
And they have it down the generations from Adam to today, and that's something like 5,600 years.
Yes.
I'm afraid that that doesn't help me at all, because when there were 4 people in the world, Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, there was a murder. Cain killed Abel, and Cain went to another country to find a wife.
And found.
Exactly. And so so where did she come from? So this is
Yes.
what I'm saying. You know, it explains it. You can say this because it goes from Adam to Abram to David to Jesus to the generations today. But that makes no sense for the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. As Jewish, they have to be exclusive, right? Exclusive people. So they were the chosen people. But evidently it was not the only one. And I like this explanation here from Kardec, saying that it was one of the people who survived one of the greatest disasters, and saying or implying the idea that there were many, say, Adams in the whole planet, right?
Actually, you know, somebody said to me that, you know what, I think it is that this was a situation where, again, God, whoever, is looking at what's going on in the world and saying, you know, we got to do something here. And so if I make it nice, I give them a garden, I do everything. They have only to look after it and to love me. And surely then it will be fine. But it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
And so it goes on. So, because don't tell me that the Aboriginals, they are certainly not Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah. What to say exactly? What to say about the people here in the American continent? You know.
Well, exactly.
So
There was a lot of migration, and I know that from having been in Peru, some of the weaving and the patterns is definitely from some of the South Pacific islands. So there has always been migration.
Always.
Throughout history.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there are some cities. I'm not talking about a building or something, but cities, like everybody talk about Machu Picchu. But there is other ancient sites in the whole Latin America, especially in that coast, the Pacific coast, There are other cities nobody really talk about, but they are even older, much older than Machu Picchu. Nobody even know how those cities were built, who built them, and even there are some scientists. They now are talking to geologists and archaeologists. They even think that those cities perhaps they were built even before the ends, the mountains were at the level they are today. So
Yes.
meaning this is really old. So who
Exactly.
created those? It was not Adam.
Exactly.
And it
And I
was
mean,
a very advanced society because the way that the stones are cut, it is like laser cut. It is
yes.
precise. So
I mean, it's
and
huge,
heavy,
huge boulders. Exactly.
huge
And
boulders.
I'm told, maybe you know more than that, but I was told by a Mexican that underneath there is an old original city. And they can't do anything about it because then they would have to destroy the present Mexico.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was there in Mexico City, I was told the same story that underneath the existing city, though, there is this huge site all over.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And there are cities underneath the sea.
Uh-huh.
They can see them, yes.
Near the coast of Japan, there is a huge site. Nobody knows exactly what that is, but it's something that submerged eons ago.
Mhm.
There is no, so anyway, who knows? Who were they here before us? Somebody. So, oh yeah, diversity of the human race. What causes the physical and moral I like this, the moral differences in the diversity of the human race on Earth?
Precisely. Because
And,
each group has their customs and culture.
mhm. And it goes along with their moral advancement, I guess. It says, well, the answer is climate, lifestyle, and habits. The same differences are produced in two children born to the same mother, but raised apart from one another under different conditions, bear no moral resemblance to one another, to each other. So, any comment here? Gloria is thinking.
Yeah, I have a statement on that. And this is one of the rare cases where Allan Kardec or the spirits that answered are wrong. The
Why you
physical and
say that?
moral differences, which are clearly different among the various races on Earth, were caused by climate. Climate, in turn, reflected changed lifestyle and forced different habits on different groups. It was climate all the way that did it.
Yeah.
So the differences, the same differences, no, there are not same differences. If you're brought up in a different society, you're taught to behave in a different way. That works in this incarnation, but it doesn't work generally. That's it.
And what I was
Thank-
going to say is there's this common thing that people say, and that the best predictor in general of your religion is simply where you're born. So
Well, like I was born to a very Catholic family, and it was okay for a little while, but eventually I was seeking something else.
Well,
Right?
thinking in terms of, if you're from the
But-
Middle East, there are religions there. If you're from Europe, there are certain religions.
Oh,
there.
because it's so
You're-
predominant. Yeah, I
Yes,
see what
if
you're
you're
saying.
from Alaska, you have your religions there. There are the Asian religions, and so it's very common to say, well, how do you, in general, predict what someone will believe? And it's where they're born.
If you were not exposed to something different, because in
Right.
my case, yes, I had the chance to be exposed to something else. Yes, agreed. Yeah.
I do have to point out something here, that all religions have one or two things in common. And this was brought home to me very clearly when I was in East Africa talking to a dyed-in-the-wool fundamentalist Islam mullah, when I was talking about Christianity and his religion. And he was getting very humpy with his shoulders up around his ears. And I said, but there's two things we can agree on. What's that? He said, with his shoulders going even higher. And I said, love God and love your neighbor.
Mhm.
Oh, he said, and his shoulders went right down again. And this is something that's common to all religions.
Yeah,
The rest, of course, is in the various applications that the
agreed.
local power brokers use to make money.
Yeah, it's all the circumstances. Hi, Sophie, you have your hand?
Yes, I've talked about Saint Stephen and how he went
Mhm.
through a medium,
Mhm.
and they asked about this murder, and he said, if in your community you kill someone and eat that person, that's not a sin. But
Because
if
you have
you
no conscience. Yeah.
no, it's not a conscience, but that's just how they developed. But if you have a law that says that is not, then you're breaking that law. And so this is a situation.
Yeah, and you see,
That's our moral judgment.
judgments, exactly. When we in this example, if you take like two brothers, you take one to, I don't know, I want to say in one of those small very violent communities in Rio de Janeiro, for example. And you take another one to, I don't know, a Buddhist community in Nepal. I think for some time when I was looking at this question, I was thinking, well, but what about the free will, and what about the achievements that I have as a spirit? So if I learned in my past experience that it's not okay to kill someone, it's wrong to kill someone, how come living in a violent community in Rio will cause me to become a mother? Despite the fact that I learned in my past experience that it is something wrong. Then, after reading these books, I realized, oh, I know why. Because that lesson that today we know for sure is not right, because like what Hyacinth was saying, is a moral thing. It is not yet built in my spirit. It is like it takes stages for us to understand. First, recognize the lesson, then learn the lesson, then accept the lesson, and then live that lesson. So it is like that's how we advance, that how we step into our evolution. We do not grasp the lesson all of a sudden at once. Sometimes we do, but you know, there are some lessons that we need to be exposed to, perhaps not the same experience, but experiences that will test us over and over and over until the point that we will say, no, this is not for me, this is wrong. Like, for example, I was talking yesterday to a friend of mine. Her kid is in the second year of university, and she was talking about how college kids are different today compared to the time when we were in college. And then I was telling her, I said, you know what? I don't recall my parents telling me that I should not be doing drugs. However, when I was in college, it was very evident, you know, it was very common thing. And, you know, yes, I was offered. Yes, there were some opportunities, but in all of those, there was not a single doubt in my mind. No, this is not for me. If you want to use it, it's up to you. I'm okay with it, but this is not for me. So I guess it's because at that moment or this time, I know for sure what is in this regard specifically, I know it's not a good thing for me. It's not a good thing for my body. I know it's not going to be a good result. So I don't even try. I never had any curiosity. And I didn't even think anything about it until I saw other folks' experiences saying, well, I was curious about. I tried because I was curious about. I was not even curious about. So the same way, I don't think we are even curious about killing someone and try and see how we feel it, because it is already built in. So no matter, I guess at this point, if we are born in a violent society, in a violent community, we will not kill. That's why there are some folks that even though they are withdraw to go to the war, they cannot kill. They just don't, or they desert, or they are killed, but they don't kill. I guess that's me, my opinion, you know, that we do not go backwards. But if we do, it's because the lesson is not learned yet. That's what I'm taking from this answer. What time is it? Oh, it's almost time. So I guess I will stop here. Yeah, I will stop here, and because it's 4:12 here in Houston, and we will resume next Saturday then. But let me stop the recording.